I'm back again. I'm working on the violin. What I've done is I've fixed this crack here. I've glued it together. I put some patches that you can see here and trim these down. They're about 2 millimeters thick, 2.5. These two smaller ones I've added, they need to be trimmed down. There's also a gap right at the end of the back here where there's a peg. The placement was in there and it had broken out, so I've trimmed that out and put in a small wedge of spruce. What I'll do now is I'm going to trim these down a little bit, and I'll use a little device or a mat that I've made. It comes in real handy. Silicone, made it out of 2-part silicone. Took a top, put a cardboard around the edges, about an inch high, taped in place, taped over the bouts, put plastic wrap over it, and then filled it with silicone. When it dried, I have this mat which has the same contours as the top, so I can use that to hold this, so I won't have to worry about splitting it. I also use that when I'm carving the top or the back, because they fit. What I have to do now is thin these two down, and I've already thinned the larger ones, and that'll hold everything in place. I have a nice carving chisel, which is slightly curved, if you can see. Well, it's a carving chisel I've had for a long time from carving ducks, birds, or whatever like that, or even in furniture, clawfoot legs and such. But they're small, they're handy, and thin blades, so they can be sharpened like a knife or a razor. But even so, I found it easier that when I'm cutting through wood to slide the blade like I'm sawing with it a little bit, because even though the blade is sharp, that sideways movement will help cut through everything a little bit better, so you don't take off a large chunk. And with the fact that it's curved, it gives me a better control, since I am carving inside a hollow. And it doesn't take but a moment to get them trimmed down. Slide the chisel through, give it a little sliding motion. Goes right through, because I don't want to jerk through and tear anything up. Can go at it in a different direction. And after I've carved it down a little ways, I like to check to see how thick it is, so I take my calipers, pull it out, let that little wire stick down, then I can come down with it. And I've already got this one at 2.5 millimeters. I'll smooth that up a little bit, because on this side it's a little higher, and spin the whole thing around so I can work at it in this direction to get the whole thing a consistent thickness. Slide that off the end so there won't be any sharp edges. When I first built an instrument, I had no clue that the inside needed to be finished as the outside was, to keep the direction of the sound vibrations going in a predictable and pleasant pattern. But after I started doing it, I learned, and that's the way you learn everything. You try it and experiment, and you get books. I have different books by different authors, starting with a simple book. I also have by Strobel, Has a lot of good information and measurements. Then I've come to take an old violin apart. I like to take measurements down and tracing, so I know exactly what was there, and so just so I can keep up with everything. Everybody needs to keep learning, whether it's about building an instrument, and if that's what you're going to do, then you need to know as much as you can about it. Nothing worse than saying you're good at something when actually you know very little. You need to know what's going on, and you need to keep learning, because there's always new techniques, new ideas to be found. Okay, I have about got this taken care of. And there. That'll hold everything together for some time to come. We can lay this aside. What I'm going to do now is cut this patch here to the length that it needs to be. And I'll need to cut this down and even that out so that it's the same size. Shouldn't be too hard. So I'll slide my chisel sideways again. And there we go. I'll clean that up just a little bit better as I take care of the top. And this is coming right along. Thank you for watching.